My name is Angela Wangari Njuguna. I'm a 24-year-old unemployed youth. I would like to address this to the President of the Republic of Kenya, President Uhuru Kenyatta. Mr. President, I address you as a concerned youth. I address you as a concerned youth, Mr. President, because 2017, I went to the polls twice because I believed in you. I believed you would make Kenya a great nation, Mr. President. However, it is 2018, Mr. President, and I'm a concerned youth. Mr. President, you have mentioned you would like to leave a legacy behind. And upon mentioning that, Mr. President, you have mentioned your legacy is your Big Four agenda. Your Big Four agenda is industries, improving health care in Kenya, introducing affordable housing, Mr. President, and security. Mr. President, I would like to address you by letting you understand the common Mwananchi, Jerry and Wanjiru, just want to survive, Mr. President, in 2018. Mr. President, the taxes have been levied on the common Mwananchi, Jerry and Wanjiru because once you tax levies on fuel, Mr. President, you have taxed everything. Mr. President, Jerry and Wanjiru cannot go to work. They cannot afford to go and look for work, Mr. President, because 100 shillings is the cheapest bus fare we're paying currently, Mr. President. Mr. President, you have appointees since 2013 that you have put in different seats that have sanctioned money from Kenyans, Mr. President. And now Wanjiku is paying dearly. Mr. President, you have continued to take money from other countries that Wanjiku will basically continue to pay until she's 75. This means Wanjiku will not even be able to afford this affordable housing. She will be paying Kenya's debt throughout her life, Mr. President. I would like to mention, therefore, that even as you want to leave behind a legacy, remember, majority Kenyans will not be able to afford any of the things mentioned in your legacy, Mr. President. We will not be able to afford insurance for healthcare, Mr. President. We will not be able to afford to live in these houses because all our money is being taken by taxes. We are paying VAT. We are paying payee. And now, Mr. President, we are paying taxes on fuel. I address you painstakingly because, Mr. President, even as you address your Big Four agenda, let us remember Maslow's hierarchy. Mr. President, majority of Kenyans are still struggling to put a plate of food, one plate of food a day on their tables, Mr. President. How are we expected to afford your Big Four agenda, Mr. President? How are we expected to pay back all this money that Kenyans owe, Mr. President, majority of which has been taken by a number of people, Mr. President? And now guess what? 45 million people have to pay back this money, Mr. President. How do we afford the housing? We're paying all our money back in taxes. Mr. President, the youth do not have jobs. We do not have jobs. Mr. President, we do not have food on our tables. We believed in you, Mr. President. I believed in you. I woke up twice. I went to vote for you because I believed you would change Kenya for the better. Mr. President, all we do is suffer. People are killing their children over 100 shillings, Mr. President. Kenyans on the ground do not understand your legacy, Mr. President. They do not understand how it is they fit into their legacy because they have not met their basic needs yet, Mr. President. Mr. President, this is a concerned youth. I address you on behalf of myself and I address you on behalf of the common Mwananchi, Mr. President. Please take that into consideration. Take into consideration the very few people in this country, Mr. President. Understand what your legacy will be about. Very few people will remember your legacy, Mr. President, because we will not be able to afford it. We will not be there to see your legacy come to fruition, Mr. President. This is an appeal from a concerned youth. Please let this get to Mr. President, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, from a concerned youth.